Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another one of our ranking videos. This is slowly becoming a series now. I had said previously that we were only going to do a trilogy, right? We were going to do rating your husbandos, rating your waifus, and rating your ships, and then that was going to be it. But I had said in the ships video that if that video did well, then maybe we'd come back and do another, like rating your husbandos, waifus, ships. And the waifus one seems to be the least viewed, which is ironic and very telling of the good ones who watch the channel. I can tell where everyone's priorities are at. A lot of Fujoshi and Fudanshi, and myself included in that, so ain't nothing wrong with that. So the husbando, I decided rather to do a husbandos video again. So I asked you guys on Twitter, gave you a full 24 hours. In fact, I gave you more than 24 hours to submit your husbandos, and you guys really came through. I picked around about 20 husbandos from a list of, I think, about 100. So there's definitely some people that I didn't get to, some animen that we're not going to be able to talk about this go round, and a couple of surprises in there. If you saw the thumbnail, you might be surprised. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. I have the list right here in front of me, and like I said before, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the name of the character, I'm going to give them a rating right away, and then I will explain. If you need to know what the ratings mean, you can check the link in the description. You can check the description itself for the list of like the different ratings and what they mean. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. First up is at Weak Juicebox, and they say Whitebeard from One Piece. I'm gonna give Whitebeard a B. Whitebeard is a character that I've only just sort of stumbled upon recently. I shouldn't say recently. It's that I had my first real scene with Whitebeard relatively recently. If you don't know, at the time of recording, I have just finished the post-Ennis Lobby arc from One Piece. I'm about a little over, I think, I'm getting closer towards chapter 500. There's a lot of chapters of One Piece, so it's taken me quite a bit. I'm trying to tackle it like about 2 volumes a day, so I should be caught up sometime next year, like sometime in January, I think. So that's not too bad. By the time we're recording this, by the way, it's December like something, so it's not that far off. I should be able to finish it in a month or two, or at least like within a month and a half. But when I was introduced to Whitebeard, I was first of all surprised that he did not in fact have a white beard. He had a white mustache. However, the mustache is so impressive that I felt like I had to give the man a B. As a husbando, judging solely off the scene he had with Shanks, I'm not too sure what kind of husbando he would be. He does seem like he can take care of himself, which is good. I appreciate that in husbandos. He seems nice enough. And again, the mustache just kind of lifts him up from a C up to a B. Otherwise, it'd be a C, but that mustache, it's impressive. Next up is at D Evil, and they say Rock from Black Lagoon, and I am gonna give Rock a B. Welcome back to B the video, everybody. That happened last time with the ships. I promise not everybody's getting a B. But when it comes to Rock, I made a video not that long ago talking about how Rock is one of my favorite characters from Black Lagoon, that Rock is a badass. For some reason, that video really blew up, and it was in my trying to be John and Hank Green phase, so it's basically a Vlogbrothers video, but about anime. And I'm not too proud of that video. There's stuff that I would fix and change about it, but in that video, I had said that Rock was, to me, the quote-unquote most badass MC I had seen. Wasn't saying that he was the most badass of the Black Lagoon Company, just that he was one of the more badass characters I had seen in anime, given that he came from this really, like, traditionally, like, most characters like Rock would be, like, the screaming one. They'd be the Zenitsu of the group, you know? And I was sort of expecting that from Rock, so I was surprised when he turned out to be a bit of a badass. And Rock as a husbando, I can see Rock actually being pretty decent as a husbando. I can see him like checking in with you, making sure you're okay, but the lifestyle, it's the same thing I said about Revy. The lifestyle that Rock leads would be difficult to deal with. I wouldn't want to join the Black Lagoon Company. That's a type of like the pirate lifestyle, and I don't mean like the One Piece pirate. I mean the actual pirates, like current day pirates lifestyle. That ain't for me, if you can imagine. So I feel like Rock, while he would be a good husbando, his line of work just doesn't quite do it for me. I'm not trying to get shot, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm gonna give Rock a B. Next up is at Caster for Life 11. Oh god, here we go. And Caster says Chocolata from JoJo's Part 5 Golden Wind. and Chocolata's gonna get an F. I tried, Caster. I did, man. I was, okay, if you haven't been watching these videos, every single entry Caster has given has been an F. And I really didn't want to give Caster another F. But because I know he's trolling me, right? So I want to be like, aha, here's something new for you, Caster. But alas, Chocolata, like, I really tried, right? Because I'm like, Chocolata's horrible, but like, maybe his appearance, but Chocolata kind of like ugly. So I couldn't give him any, I couldn't put him in a D tier because I was like, no, because he's a horrible person. His stand is gross, and physically his appearance ain't nothing, like nothing to look at twice. In fact, he kind of ugly, so I couldn't give him higher than an F tier. He's at the bottom of the barrel. He is total garbage, Husbando. I'm sorry. I couldn't give him any higher. One day, Caster, one day we will get an S tier rank from you, one fine day. At the Dubbed Casual says Kirsch from Black Clover, and I'm gonna give Kirsch here a C. I do not know Kirsch. I am not that far into Black Clover, at least, or maybe I have met Kirsch. I don't quite recall. At the moment, I'm a couple volumes into Black Clover. I did put it on hold so that I could catch up on One Piece though. So the last time I read Black Clover, I believe it was during a fight with Lucky, the fun-loving character. He was like darting around. They were having some kind of fight. There was like, I don't know, something, Yuno and his crew had shown up and they were both trying to get a MacGuffin. I don't totally remember what was happening. I'm gonna have to probably start from volume 1 again. But I don't know Kirsch, so I was just going off the images that I found of him, and he looks relatively pompous and kind of douchey. So I felt like, just judging off his looks and what I can gauge about his personality, I felt like I can't give him any higher than a C tier. He's okay. I don't know enough about him. He's handsome enough, but he does just come off as sort of swarmy and douchey, so yeah, I feel like a C. My opinion on that could change. Sorry, Dubbed. Moving right along, we have at Rohan Rouge, and they say Sugawara from Haikyuu, and Sugawara is gonna get an A tier. Sugawara is sort of like the mother hen of the Karasuno group, you know? Like, he's sort of like the Haruki from Given, or the Makoto from Free, sort of like the one who's like the mama bear type, trying to take care of all the other characters, keep an eye on everybody, make sure everybody's feeling good, and just a generally positive character. Sugawara does differentiate from those two in the sense that he can be down on himself quite a bit, and he does sort of discount himself a little too much. I feel like he sort of like is his own worst enemy in a lot of cases, which is a bit of a turnoff, admittedly. Besides his self-defeating nature, you really can't go wrong with Sugawara, so I felt like an A is pretty darn appropriate. Next up is Kisa-chan94, and they say Blanca from Banana Fishu. And Blanca's gonna get an A. Blanca, what a mayon. I know some folks are either gonna be really happy about that rating or really pissed off about that rating, because technically Blanca happened to have a hand in quite a number of disturbing and uncomfortable situations in Banana Fishu. But Blanca always sort of struck me as a dude who needed the money. He was a very terrible person before the events of the show. So I feel like if you asked me about that specific Blanca, then I would have been like, oh, F, he's a horrible person. But the Blanca that we know by the end of Banana Fishu, he's a good dude. Not good dude, he's a complex dude. But as a husbando, I feel like he'd be pretty high up there. First of all, the dude is handsome as can be. Do not tell me that you wouldn't want him to give you a big bear hug, although he might crush you. But like at the same time, like a bear hug from Blanca would feel pretty nice, not gonna lie. And I feel like his personality, if he were in a relationship with you, I feel like that'd be pretty okay. I got nothing really against Blanca other than his past misdeeds, which if he were to grow beyond them, which we do know that he does sort of grow during the course of Banana Fish, he's a different guy by the end of it. So I feel like I can look past that. Sometimes it would come back up for me and I'd be like, ooh, you a bad dude. But for the most part, I feel like overall he does shine pretty well. So I gotta give Blanca an A. At Veridon Main says Astolfo from Fate something, I don't know, entry number 7622. And listen, y'all, I gotta give Astolfo a C. I know nothing about, I don't even know what Fate entry this character shows up in. I think it's Apocrypha. I think there's too many Fates. I said this in my waifu video. There's too many Fate series. There's too friggin' many. I can't keep track anymore. And Astolfo, I've seen Astolfo around. I'm aware of, like, vaguely who this character is, kind of. I don't know the historical significance of Astolfo. Astolfo, to me, they're too... They seem like too much, you know what I mean? Like, they're too energetic, they're too youthful. I'm not into that at all, the energetic, bubbly one. There's rare exceptions, looking at you, Nagi-san, my boy, but nah, Astolfo, I'm sorry, they're just sort of okay. Nothing about us. In fact, like, Astolfo, pretty much, I would be friends with Astolfo, but as a husbando, no, I'm sorry. I would go hang out with Astolfo. I wouldn't go on a date with Astolfo, so it's gotta be a C. Next up, we have at Quad Tiggerson, and they say Portgas D-Ace from One Piece, and Ace is getting an A. Okay, so like I said earlier with Whitebeard, I'm currently reading One Piece somewhere around chapter 400-ish, and there's two characters that every time they show up, I get really excited to see them. I'm super jazzed whenever they show up in whatever volume I'm reading. And that's Ace and Shanks. And Shanks almost never shows up, but whenever he's mentioned, I'm like, yay, Shanks. But Ace is the friggin' man. Ace kind of like rounds a lot of the bases for me. I know that he, like, aesthetically, he's gotta go on. I mean, look at the guy. And in terms of personality, he's got that sort of like cheerful, generally sort of like comforting, still wants to go out and have some fun, but generally like a caring dude. He's got that personality that I like. He's got that sort of leadership mentality that I also look for in a husbando. And I know that 9 times out of 10, I don't have to worry about him. Yeah, I mean, come on, he's getting an A tier. A tier stands for Ace. Moving right along, we have at Kadadiazol2, and they say Atsushi Nakajima from Bungo Stray Dogs, and Atsushi's gonna get a B. I feel like as a husbando, Atsushi would be like tripping all over you. He would want to make sure that you're okay at all times. He would be head over heels for you. Because he's the type of dude who strikes me that, like, when they fall for somebody, they fall hard, you know? So I feel like Atsushi would sort of trip over his feet just to make sure that you're okay, which admittedly is a bit of a turnoff. I gotta say, like, Atsushi, I feel like he'd be almost too much, because he's such a sweet dude that I feel like he'd be too much. I want to more be bros with Atsushi. He's one of my favorite main characters, one of my favorite characters in Bungo Stray Dogs, but as a husbando, I'm just more of a Kunikita type of guy. I do like Atsushi quite a bit, but again, it's just, I just don't really see him as husbando material. I did give him a B, only because I can see why other people would find him to be husbando material. I can see it working out, and maybe I'd consider it depending on, like, if we ever get a season 4 and what happens from there. I do feel like he has a lot of potential, but I also feel like maybe he'd be too much, so I feel like a B is good. The next submission comes from Sharon Nadamashi, and they say Ashlad from Vinland Saga, and Asklad's gonna get a B. Okay, maybe I lied. Maybe this is B, the video again. I apologize. Everybody's good. I like everybody, generally. Okay, but why is Ashlad a B and not a C or an A? Well, I feel like Ashlad would make a good husbando. I do feel like on some level he would care about you, but at the same time, you have to kind of look at the show to get a general idea of how he would treat you, and that is to say that if you're, you know, anywhere related to the Vikings, he's probably not going to have too much love for you. I feel like he's too wrapped up in his whole Artorias thing to really care about a particular, like, any type of partner, you know? I don't know. I can see him being a decent significant other, you know, I could see that husbando status within him. First of all, dude's got a rockin' goatee. He's got the skills that pay the bills, and yeah, he's kind of suave, and I do think there's elements to Ashlad that make him very attractive, both aesthetically and personality-wise. However, again, I just think that where he's at in the story thus far in the anime, I don't know if he'd be a particularly good husbando. Maybe that changes in the manga. I don't know. I don't read the manga. So, yeah, from where we are in the anime, I have to give him a B because I feel like maybe he'd be a good husbando, but maybe he'd kind of just let you go if he felt like he needed to, you know? So, I don't know. I'm going to give him a B because, again, I want to lean more to him being good, but at the same time, he could not be the best. Next submission is at Nuxtaku, and they send in themselves. So I guess hentai version of Nux from AnyTube. C. Well, okay, C with a caveat, right? Because if we're talking about Nux the person, then that's an S tier. I don't know if you guys know this, but Nux is a good lad, genuinely a good person. Nux was kind enough to give me some critique not that long ago, and the man can give you genuine advice without coming across like a jerk, you know, because that's a very delicate tightrope that you have to walk down, where you want to give somebody a critique, but you don't want to be too much of a jerk and too mean about it, but also be stern in what you feel like they can improve. So that's a tightrope that I feel like Nux walks very, very well. And as a person, he's a total S tier. However, since you did not submit Nux the person, you submitted Nux the avatar, I have to assume that we're talking about Meme Lord Nux, and I feel like I could maybe go on like maybe 2 dates with Nux before my mind explodes from too many Lord Twigo jokes, and I couldn't do it. But this, first of all, thank you for submitting yourself, my boy, because it means that I could put you in the thumbnail without feeling bad about it. And second, this did make me go like, I wonder if I should do a rating your AnyTubers on a husbando or waifu status. You know, like husbando, waifu, but like anime and AnyTube focused. I feel like that would cause so much shade, I would blot out the sun. So maybe I won't do that, but you know, something to consider. Moving on, we have at the Mikey Dunn, and they say Makoto Tachibana from Free. Y'all already know it's gonna be our first S tier of the video. There's nothing wrong with Makoto. Makoto is the perfect, the gold standard S tier husbando. There's absolutely not a damn thing wrong with Makoto, except for the fact that people still ship Makaharu, and that is so wrong. Cause everybody, listen, the true ship is Rinharu on one side and Maku JoJo on the other side. Me and Makoto are the ship. I will hear no arguments. I see some of you other Fujos out there trying to ship yourselves with Makoto. First of all, how dare you? It's clearly me and Makoto, step up off my boy. And I feel like one day I'm gonna make a video on why I have such strong feelings about Makaharu being not good for Makoto or Haru, but not today. Today we gotta talk about why Makoto is a good husbando, and I will tell you, viewer, because Makoto is one of the nicest, kindest people on the friggin' planet. As a husbando, he would be there for you 24/7 without tripping over his toes and give you your space as he does with his friends. As we can see, he gives them their space, but he's also there to offer advice and a caring shoulder to cry on if need be. Makoto is the most handsome dude in Free, possibly all of anime. Fight me. He's a tall boy and a giant teddy bear, okay? The dude is just fantastic, top to bottom, and he's just the best. And especially Makoto in his red flannel with the glasses, Makoto is the best. I love him so much, and I will actually fight you for his honor. No joke. I know some people say like you should have an SS tier, and I've always been against that. I feel like S tier is the highest that my rating system goes, but Makoto is like the golden tippity top of the iceberg, along with a couple other characters. Makoto sits above and looks down at the other Animu husbandos, the other Animen, and says, "Ha, you ain't got nothing on this." Although he wouldn't say that, because Makoto's a good lad, but I would say that on his behalf. Next submission comes from @ThatCircle, and they say Louis from Beastars, and Louis is gonna get an A. Beastars is making me realize that maybe I do like the anthropomorphized characters more than I care to admit. And I'm not exactly gonna run out and get myself a fursona or anything, and I feel like I can't say fursona without doing like the Joker from P5, like fursona. But yeah, I'm not like that into the furry stuff, but I do find myself kind of interested in some of the Beastars characters, and I don't know what that says about me, but hey man, I grew up having a big crush on Lola Bunny, so I guess it all comes full circle. Louis, of all the cast, I feel like Louis is the one that I'm like, okay, I can see it working out. Me and Louis, I can see that working out. Louis he's got a lot of baggage, admittedly, but you know me. You know that I like a project, and Louis is a project to be sure, but there's also so many good qualities about Louis that really shine through some of the darker elements of the character. I feel like he would care about you. He'd check in with you. He checks in with Haru all the time, you know? Like it's definitely like a one-sided relationship there, and I feel like he would need to work on a lot of stuff, and I do feel like I would have to check him on the whole like arranged marriage thing. I would have to pull a swoozy on him and be like, listen, Louis, you either choose me or you lose me. Like that's It's like you're either with me or you're not. So I feel like I would have to confront him on the arranged marriage thing, which holds him back from an S rank, but there's so many good qualities about Louis that really shine through, and the dude's just suave as all hell, so he is the B-star, you know? I feel like I gotta give him that A rank status. Next submission comes from Andrea Lorenzi, 96, and they say, Guts from Berserk, and I'm gonna give Guts a B. As I said previously, if you have been on the channel for long enough, you know that when it comes to my animen and animewomen, I like me a project. I don't know why, but it is an element of a character that can, you know, sort of charm me a little bit. I like a project. And Guts is the biggest project of all projects. Okay, he is like he has so much baggage, he could fill an entire airport. Like, Guts has a lot going on. And I would have the same fear with Guts that I have about some of the carnivore characters from Beastars, in as much as that I fear that Guts would kill me. I mean, that Berserker rage is hard to hold back, you know, and keep in mind too, I'm not a manga guy, so I haven't read the manga for Berserk. I've only seen like the 90s anime, and even then I was just like, Guts kinda, I feel a kind of way about Guts. Like, I knew I liked Guts like more than a friend, if you know what I'm saying. And I was like into Guts, and I still am into Guts, but I feel like the amount of baggage has only grown over time, and he's such a project that it really holds him back from that A tier. But he's also such a, like, there's just something that pulls me towards him, you know? He's such a man that it bumps him up way higher than the C tier. So I don't know, I feel like Guts, I would have to really sit down and be like, okay, here's some boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we gotta talk about some stuff before we get into a relationship, and it would be a struggle, but I would try to make it work to the best of my abilities, and I would hope that Guts would do the same. If I don't feel it from Guts' side, which I may not, like if I don't feel that he's working on himself too, then I would have to leave. So I feel like a B tier, because I don't know how it will work out. So I gotta give him a B tier. I feel like a B tier is appropriate. I feel like I think about my husbandos like way too literally. Like, cause I feel like a lot of other people are like, dude, it's just men and women. I think you're going a little insane, but that's just how I roll. Next submission comes from @clampies3815, and they say Saichi Sugimoto from Golden Kamui, and friggin' Sugimoto's getting that A tier. Holy fuck, I totally forgot about Golden Kamui. I'm so excited for the next season. I didn't even think it was gonna get another season. Golden Kamui is so good, and nobody seems to ever care. I remember when I was doing videos on Golden Kamui, it was the least viewed thing on the channel, and that breaks my heart. Golden Kamui is so good. And you know what a big part of the charm of Golden Kamui is? Sugimoto. Sugimoto is the type of Husbando where you can let him go off on an adventure. Like, you could be like the one who stays at home, and you can let Sugimoto go off on an adventure, and you don't gotta worry about him. Wanna know why? Cause he's the immortal Sugimoto. You wouldn't have to worry about a damn thing with Sugimoto. You know he'd come back. Like, I ain't worried about him. I know he's got this. I would have full faith in my man, in my animan. As a husbando, he'd be fantastic. Like I feel like he's funny enough. Like humor is a big thing with a husbando, right? You want to at least have a couple laughs with your husbando. You want to be able to have, like, imagine a home life, you know, with your husbando. And I can imagine it. I could see Sugimoto like going out into the world for like a few days on end, trying to like pull in, like trying to make sure that we get ends meet. I would totally go on the adventure with them. I would totally happily go on the adventure with everybody. And I can see it working out. I just can see me and Sugimoto working out. He's one of the underrated husbandos, I feel. I don't talk about my love for Sugimoto as much as maybe I should. But yeah, Sugimoto's great. I feel like he's got the humor, he's got the caring side, he's a badass, so you don't gotta worry about him. Yeah, he's pretty great. Next up is @bystander number 2, and they deliver a surprise. Hercule Poirot from Agatha Christie's Great Detectives, and Hercule's getting a B. Now, when I say Hercule, I do not mean Hercule, the DBZ character. I mean Hercule Poirot, the greatest detective in the world. If you don't know who Poirot is, he is one of the many fictional detectives out there. He, admittedly, I would love to see a crossover with him and Sherlock. I don't know if that exists. I'm sure it must. And if it doesn't, it's gotta happen. Because he's one of the many great detectives in the world. If you are even remotely interested in murder mysteries of any kind, there is no shot you haven't at least heard the title Murder on the Orient Express, and the detective in that story is Hercule Poirot. He is one of Agatha Christie's many returning cast members. Like, Poirot is a long-standing character. However, I did not know that he was also an anime character, so that was a pleasant surprise. Seeing Poirot show up made me all excited, because it reminded me how much I loved mystery novels like a couple years back, when I was just, for some reason, I was like enthralled by them. Murder mysteries are like chiefly like one of my favorite genres, and I was so surprised to see Poirot show up in these tweets, and I didn't even know that this show existed, so I'm gonna have to check out this show. However, Poirot as a character, like as a husbando, I don't know. I feel like he'd be good, but I worry that he'd get too caught up in his own hype. Like, that is a problem with Poirot. He kind of has that Sherlock mentality of like, I am the best, you know, and he's a bit of a grump sometimes. And he's a bit of a know-it-all, so I feel like I have to stick with a B tier. Next one comes from @MegLovesCute, and they say Seiichiro Minamoto from Sanrio Boys, and I'm gonna give Seiichiro a B. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen Sanrio Boys in a while, and I didn't get to finish the series, so there's stuff about Seiichiro that I have to piece together the memories, but from what I'm piecing together, I know he's bare minimum a B tier. And also, Meg asked me to go easier on Seiichiro than I did with Haru, so here's my apology. From what I remember, he was sort of like the kind and responsible type, which I appreciate that trait in my husbandos, and his favorite Sanrio character is Cinnamoroll. So yeah, I feel like based off both his traits and his favorite Sanrio character, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a B tier. That feels good. Next submission comes from Helix Log, and they say Rohan Kishibe from JoJo's Part 4, Diamond is not Crash, or Diamond is Unbreakable, whatever you want to say, and I say A. Rohan is one of the best characters in all of JoJo's. I'm not kidding. He really is that great. I feel like that's not an uncommon opinion, though. I feel like most people love Rohan. You either love Rohan or you hate Rohan. I love Rohan. The man's fashion sense is out of this damn world. He has some of the best growth in the series, and again, no, I am not kidding. The Rohan that we see at the beginning of the series versus the Rohan that we see at the end of the series, in particular some of the spin-off manga, which I haven't read, but I have seen a lot of YouTube videos on like what happens in like Rohan Goes to the Louvre, stuff like that. And Rohan's character grows exponentially in between the start of Part 4 and the end of Part 4. And I feel like that growth alone makes him a great husbando. If you had asked me like Rohan at the beginning of Diamond is Unbreakable, I would have probably said like a B to a C, but based off where he goes as a character, I have to give Rohan an A. I would love to hang out with Rohan, or like to date Rohan, right? To have him as my husbando. First of all, living in Morio is an easy plus to that. And second of all, Rohan would, I feel like while he would get caught up in his own work, which does sort of hold him back from like the top tier husbando, like the S tier husbando, I still feel like he would be caring. He would like generally want to make sure that you're feeling okay. He would check in on you, make sure everything's good, and take you out to like a nice dinner towards the end, and buy you a lovely wardrobe, which is also a nice plus. He is a famous mangaka after all. I feel like Rohan would really take care of you, and he would give you your space, which is huge for me. I don't like being sort of smothered by my husbandos. I do worry he'd give you maybe too much space. You know, I feel like he'd be too caught up in his manga, but at the same time, being a mangaka is a lot of hard work, so you have to go into that relationship knowing that. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like an A tier is pretty solid for Rohan, in my opinion. @ShadowSwarm99 says Kirhei Kotomine from Fates, a bunch of Fates from what I remember. And I'm gonna give Kirei, whatever his name is, Priest Guy, a C. Last I checked, this dude was evil. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I've only really seen a handful of Fate series. I've seen Unlimited Blade Works, I've seen The Cooking Show, and I've seen parts of Fate Zero, and I think I saw the spin-off, the Fate Grand Order movie, the first one. That's it. That's all I've seen from Fate. And yeah, from what I remember, this dude's evil, I think? I don't know, and he doesn't really do anything for me. The fact that he's a priest, honestly, is a huge turnoff. I'm pretty sure he can't get married anyway, so I'm pretty sure he can't be a husbando off the basis of his faith, so I don't know. And the fact that he's evil is also, well, I shouldn't say it's a turnoff. I do like some evil characters, and sometimes the bad boy thing can work for me. But I don't know. I don't get anything from this character. I never even considered him even remote husbando material. I would have given him a D, but at least like his hair is nice. That I guess that saves him. And I don't know. There is that mysterious air to him, so that does sort of boost him up a little bit up to the C tier, but yeah, I can't put him any higher. And the final one for our video, and a bit of a surprise, comes from @BlobPsycho100, and they say Angelo La Gusta from 91 Days, and I'm gonna give Angelo a B. Angelo is another one of those sort of like underrated husbandos, the ones that I maybe don't talk about enough, but I really like Angelo as a character. As a husbando, I still think there's a lot of charm to him. I feel like he could be a decent enough husbando if life had gone a different way. I don't want to spoil too much about 91 Days because there's a chance that a decent amount of you haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen 91 Days, it's essentially a mobster story. It's one of the better stories that came out the year that it did. I believe that was like 2016, 2017. It was one of my more favorite shows that had come out. It's not really animation heavy, which I sort of disapprove of. I feel like when you're when you're making an anime, you have to remember that animation is the medium you're in, so you should show instead of tell. And it's very much a mobster story. I feel like if you wanted to, you could make a live action adaptation of 91 Days and get away with it. And it's still a great story, it's not very animation heavy, but the saving grace is the characters, and Angelo as a character is absolutely fascinating. You both root for and feel frustrated with him, because you do want him to seek revenge. You know, it is a mobster story, so revenge is part of it. And you do want him to get his revenge, like you do agree and you want him to get his revenge, but you also know like the path he's going down is a dark one, and he may not walk away from it unscathed, and I feel like that holds him back because he's so hell-bent on revenge. I don't know if he would appreciate you. You know what? And you know what? You listening, you deserve to be appreciated. And I don't think Angelo would appreciate you. I don't think Angelo would appreciate me. So I'm gonna have to give him the B tier. I feel like he would be too focused on revenge for my liking. But again, he's very handsome. He's a very handsome lad. He's got a cool personality. I don't want to say a great personality. His personality is like very badass, and if like you're into your bad boys, Angelo's great. But I couldn't put him as a husbando. I couldn't get married to Angelo and feel safe. And I like feeling safe, you know? Okay, and on that note, that is all the husbandos that I could get to for today. Thank you for sending in your husbandos to be rated, and I hope to goodness you are not too angry with me. I know I give a lot of praise, but I also say a lot of mean shit about a certain husbandos, so I can understand why some folks would be upset. So for that, I apologize if you were upset. But yeah, hopefully you're not too mad at me. As for next week, I don't know if we're gonna do a waifu tier list or a ships tier list. Maybe I'll put out a poll on Twitter or just see what you guys are saying in the comments, and we'll sort of go from there. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week. Don't know if it's gonna be waifu tier list or a ships tier list. We'll just see on the day. But that's pretty much all I had to say. Thank you guys once again for sending in your husbandos. It is appreciated. And I will see you guys very soon. And on that note, everybody, that's gonna wrap up today's video. But before we take off, I wanna give a big shout out to the good folks over on Patreon, namely those in the Earl Grey tier: Calvin Atkinson, Crowbar of Irony, Dominic, Urza, Genkotaku, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Mirth Mouser, Omner Garamond, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Steven, Tristan, Verdon, and Westbourne Eastbred. A huge thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. Thanks once again for checking out today's video, everybody. If you enjoyed it, then you've probably been on the internet long enough to know what to do already, so I ain't gonna tell you, but I will say that it is appreciated. And if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.